Hey guys, welcome everyone. Early birds, thanks for being here.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Look at that. I'm seeing all these people's faces, so I only know their names. Probably same for Ben.
Yeah, I'm just organized. I'm actually just downloaded the list.
Hi guys, how's it going?
Hey Josh.
Do you have the slides, Britlin, or is Alex?
I do. I think Alex was going to be on a train. So
Could you share those?
I've got them loaded up. Let me just get my screen ready to go.
Crazy
This
to see
reminds,
everybody's faces.
I'm doing this all. This reminds me of our tech check for like the final presentations. Okay, I've got it in presentation mode. Okay, do you want me to share it now, Josh, or wait till we're
I think wait maybe till we say a prayer.
okay? It looks like I have screen sharing capabilities, so it should be easy.
I'm looking for a familiar face, and I think I see Mia. Would you be willing to offer the prayer for us when it comes time? All right. Well, it's 6 o'clock. I think we should probably go ahead and start. What do you think, Britlin?
I think so. Let's do it.
Yeah. Uh, Welcome to everybody. Thank you for being here, and we're so excited to connect with you all. And we've been pouring through your applications and communicating with you, and getting to see your faces is a pleasure. We're going to start off. Mia Jensen from BYU Hawaii is going to offer us the prayer.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank Thee that we are able to gather together to talk about this opportunity that we have all been given. And we ask Thee to please help us that we will be able to learn a lot now in order to make the preparations that we need to have a good summer and to learn a lot. And we ask you to please bless us that we will be able to learn and use the things that we have learned later on in our life to serve those around us. And we love thee, and we say these things in the name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
All right. Well, I think maybe I think you've met most of us, but let's start with some introductions from our Spree leadership team. And so I can start. My name's Josh Jaramillo. I'm a trauma and critical care surgeon. I'm also the Associate Dean of Admissions at the School of Medicine here at BYU. Britlin, I pass to you.
I'll go next. I'm Britlin Orkill. I'm an anesthesiologist out of Boston, Mass, and have been on the Spree train since 2016. This is our 10th summer, so we're really excited about you guys and the experience you're going to have. It's going to be awesome. And I will pass the baton to Tyler.
Hey, everybody, nice to meet you. I know I've communicated with all of you over email. I'm Tyler Pedersen, a former pre-med washout who chose psychology instead. I'm a psychologist on BYU campus. I work in student development. And for 15 years, I was in administration, and Josh kind of hooked me into this program about 7, 8 years ago when I was over the pre-professional, the pre-med office on campus. So I've been doing it ever since. And I'm a clinical professor, so I do clinical work, train PhD students, do a little research, and then do this kind of in my spare time. So thanks for your patience as we've worked out all of these positions this year.
Thank you, Tyler.
Do you want to pull up the slides, Britlin, and then we can
Yep.
kind of start to work through those?
All right. All right, guys. So welcome to the BYU Summer Pre-Medical Research Internship Program. Josh, I'll let you take this.
Yeah, so we recognize not all of you, and I'm going to recognize the different groups here on another slide, but we wanted to make sure everybody that's participating, specifically of those of you who are here from the Summer Pre-Med Research Internship Program, that you understand a little bit of the origins. And so we've kind of already introduced ourselves, but the origins of this program are rooted in a desire to expand research and mentorship opportunities for students initially that were at BYU, but this year we've expanded to additional sites. And so we know the needs that we had identified years ago at BYU also exist at BYU Idaho and BYU Hawaii. And so we started this program 10 years ago. It was initially at Harvard and Stanford, and over the years we have included additional research mentors and are at all the wonderful sites that you are at this year. We've had over 250 internships supported through the program. And over the years, we've found other partners that have helped us to expand opportunities. And so we've partnered with the Simmons Cancer Center here at BYU, what was previously the BYU Medical Society, and we've worked with Life Sciences and other programs to expand research opportunities. And part of that is that they're all funded. And in order for students to work at other hospitals, they have to be funded positions. And when they come funded, they expand opportunities for students who've come from different backgrounds. And so we're grateful to have this and to have been a part of this. As we said, this year is extra special for our program because you are our 10th cohort of students. And so that's a big landmark for us. This year also, which we'll share later, is our largest year. We're serving more students than we've ever served before. So next slide.
Josh, I'll just add one thing to this. All of our students that have come through this, or at least the ones that talked to us afterwards, say it's really a life-changing program. They'll come in maybe thinking they want to do one thing, and then they'll work with a mentor who works in a field like they didn't even know existed. And we have a lot of people change their career paths either within different fields of medicine or a lot of people that switch from MD to MD PhD or honestly back the other way as well. And it's just a great way to get exposure to another side of academia that you haven't seen before.
And to add to what Britlin said, our student, it being life changing, I think it's life changing in the it empowers you to know what's possible, or to connect with people who believe in you. We see the results in the rates at which our students are accepted to medical school. Year to year, it varies, but it's above 90% when students apply. In some years, it's 100% of the participants of our program who apply to medical school are accepted. And so, in addition, students are getting into schools that BYU students in the past rarely were accepted. And so we have had multiple students accepted to Stanford and Harvard, and we have, NYU. I think last year we had 8 students from our program in 1 year, and so we're getting our students. You guys are amazing. You're going to be a part of this, and we're going to kind of talk a little bit in a little bit about some of the expectations we have. But I want to recognize here today, I don't think we have all of our interns present based on the participants I see on the Zoom screen, but we have SPRE participants from BYU, from Hawaii, and from Idaho. But also some of the students on this Zoom call weren't technically a part of SPRE, but they've received a scholarship from Life Science to do research, and so the leadership within Life Science asked that you all participate because you're doing a similar experience, and that you're going to a different lab and doing research, and so a lot of the expectations that we have in this orientation would apply to you. And so that's, I think, the specific message that we would like those individuals to get. Some of the other things are more SPRE specific. And so if you're one who's specifically not through SPRE but Life Science, maybe not pay as much attention to some of those SPRE specifics, but I think the overall message applies to all the students.
And I think also we just want to enforce this is a great chance to network with other people in your group that are maybe also applying to medical school or PhD programs. And it's a great way to kind of build relationships and friendships. Okay, so the current layout, as Josh mentioned earlier, we have nearly 70 students that are going to be just in the SPRE program. So that's not including our life science cohort. So theoretically, on some of these Zoom calls that we'll have over the summer, we could have up to 80 people on. We have 42 labs this summer, and we're really excited. Last year was our first year branching outside of BYU for students, and we had, I think, 1 student from BYU Idaho. We have 9 times that number from BYU Idaho this year, which is really exciting. They really pledged to help our program, and we were really delighted to also include BYU Hawaii in our group. So thank you guys for coming on board and trusting us with your summer. We have 2 international labs. Part of a lot of the energy behind the new BYU Medical School is like a lot of global health. And so we do have a couple of more global things going on, and we have a lot of new locations. So we've got Yale, Michigan, Dartmouth, Baylor, Hawaii, UC Davis, UC San Diego, UT Southwestern, Arizona, and then Brazil, Samoa, Huntsman Cancer Institute, BYU, and Intermountain Healthcare. So we've got a lot going on. And if you look at the labs, you can see how many people we placed. We have like a big crew at Harvard, and we have a couple that maybe just have like one per site. So we'll be working with you guys to make sure that you don't feel alone if you're someone you're the only person at your site. And we'll give you some tips for how we recommend you handle that a little bit later in this talk.
I just think that that slide is a testament to how each of your institutions believe in you all, and also value the importance of these kind of experiential learning opportunities. And so, we have various funding sources that we tap into, but most of them are coming from your university. And so they want you they know how important these experiences are, and they want you to be successful.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh. We're going to talk a little bit about kind of some expectations we have for you all to make you the most successful this summer. We've had over 200 students come through this program. We rarely have any problems, but earlier on in the program, before we kind of communicated the expectations, we would come into some bumps. So we're kind of telling you all this up front just so you have the best experience. The first thing is we really want you in the lab. That's kind of the major theme. We just want you in it. We want you working hard, really getting to know your projects. A lot of our students end up having longitudinal relationships with their labs. We have many students that come back for a second summer, a lot of students that work on papers during the year. Like these are really good relationships to have. So we want you to be there. So we ask for the full 14 to 16 weeks between May and August. We really don't want you taking vacations during this time. We just want you focusing on the work, being in the lab. Something we thought is important just about the work that you're actually doing. You might be doing, you might think in your mind, I'm going to be pipetting every minute of the day, and that might be true, but you also might be doing some literature review, especially if you're waiting on an IRB. This will apply to a lot of you. Some of you might be waiting to get added to the IRB, or your credentialing might be taking a while. These are things that can feel really frustrating for the first few weeks of the summer. And we have a large group of students every year that come to us saying, man, I feel like I haven't gotten started yet. Just start working on the literature review. The more familiar you are with the papers your PI has already written, the other collaborators' papers, that goes a huge way. Of course, we'll do wet lab work, and some people do some animal experiments, and some people also are working mostly on a computer doing data analytics and coding. Totally depends on what lab you're in. You probably already know a little bit, but I'd say the literature review part, the part that's hard and not that glamorous, is common to almost all of these labs. We want you to dive in and be energetic. We had one of my favorite stories is Laura Baird a few years ago was matched at one of our labs in Harvard, who the lab was just like the morale was low. Everyone was sad, and this BYU intern came in. It was so excited. It like turned around the culture in the lab, and they started like pumping out papers, and it was amazing. And so you guys can have a huge effect on these lab environments with your positive energy. Okay, this fourth point here, this is a research internship. So again, our answer is always, be in the lab, be with your lab. We don't want you focusing on shadowing right now. If your PI were to offer it to you, or if an opportunity came up, I'm not saying don't do it, but it cannot interfere with your research at all. Like it'd have to be off hours or like on the weekend. So you really just want to make sure you focus on the research itself. We've had some experiences with mentors just feeling like people weren't totally engaged in the work. All right. Point 5. So you're representing yourself, but you're also representing BYU in the church. So stay true to your standards. Follow the honor code. Also, remember, this is not necessarily like a proselyting thing per se. So just kind of be careful and like aware of the situation if you think it's appropriate or not to share our beliefs with someone. Seek the spirit in that. We have had a lot of people like bring their lab mates to activities or something. You can do that if it feels appropriate, but just remember these are professional environments, and to just tread a little carefully. We really only had, I think, a couple of experiences where people maybe overstepped on that, and the mentors felt a little uncomfortable that they were being like proselyted to. So if you have any questions about that, or if you feel like you're in a weird situation, that's an example when you might want to reach out to us or one of your mentors to kind of get some guidance. Okay, participate in local awards. This is really, really important. We want you to be in your local ward in the summer. So move your records there. You're there for a long time. You might hold a calling. There's 24 people that are going to be in Boston this summer. the YSA ward depends on you in the summer. So the bishop knows you're coming. He wants you there. Please put your records in the ward. And that ward is really fun and really thrives on our program being kind of like the keystone. We do not schedule our seminar meetings on Wednesday nights so that those of you attending Institute in the local areas, Wednesday's a popular night, and it's the night for Boston where a lot of our kids are, not kids, students, interns. So we want to make sure you have the opportunity to go to Institute. So we kind of keep Wednesday blocked off for that. And finally, you will present your research at the end of the summer. So we have an opportunity for you to present to BYU Medical Society as well as to your peers. We're still working out final details for that. Josh, what did I miss? I just
Yeah,
flew
I
through
think
that.
I think you nailed it. And Tyler, we as well welcome your input here. It's this is an incredible opportunity, and you have the opportunity to bring value and make an impact in the lab. If done well, this can be extremely impactful and even life-changing in your own trajectory, whether you continue in medicine or choose some other path. But it all depends on how you do. And part of that is to understand that Britlin, myself, and Tyler are resources for you. We know many of you, this is not going to be a perfect scenario. Something's not going to line up right. There's going to be a delay in things. We can help you. We've helped, as we've said, 200 plus students go through this process over the last 10 years. But if you don't reach out to us, we don't know about it and we can't help you. And so if you're feeling uncomfortable or you're worried that something isn't going quite well, just send an email to us three, and we can help you troubleshoot it, and we'll contact you and figure things out. But what we want you to understand is we expect you to work hard. You know, you're there to do what they say, and as you do that, you will benefit from it, but also you may set an example for the gospel and the church as well. You know, when we started this program, we initially had it with mostly members of the church who were a lot of the research mentors, but because of the phenomenal example and work by your peers who've come before you, the research mentors who aren't members of the church started to say, well, I want a BYU student. And in fact, I want more than one BYU student. And so because they have done such a phenomenal job, it's created more opportunities for which you're benefiting from. And so we would just challenge you to know that you're carrying an important mantle. You're representing something more than yourself. And as you do well, it's not only going to help you, but it's going to help others. So I don't know if we can't make that any clearer. We have very high expectations from you, but the truth is usually you guys always exceed those expectations.
Yeah.
Tyler, would you add anything?
Yeah, the only thing I might add is we just have numerous students every year that this summer is really the starting of their research and their relationship. If you go to, some of you met Aubrey, who's one of our mentor students. If you go to her lab's website at Harvard, she's listed as one of the lab supervisors, and she's never lived in Boston other than summer. So I would just, if you do well and you like what you do, this can become kind of a multi-year right? We have students every year that work remotely and publish papers, and sometimes it takes 2 years to get the paper out, and you're still, connected with those labs. So all these things are important. Go out there, work really hard, have a good attitude, learn a lot. These mentors, almost all of them, do not expect you to have specific skills. Right? There are a few who do if you need to know R or something, but basically they're wanting you to go out there and jump in, dive in, work hard, have a good attitude, and learn. So if you do that, I think you'll be fine.
And then the only thing I'll add, and we'll mention this a few more times, but if you're having any issues, let us know sooner than later. We vet our labs pretty well, but we do have some new sites this year, and every once in a while we'll come up with an issue where we need to maybe intervene, or maybe we don't have that lab back the next summer. So if you are running into some issues, please speak up. Earlier is better than later, and then we can kind of help you out and figure out what the right move is.
Yeah, and that can be through email. I'll put in the chat my cell phone. Like,
Yeah.
you guys have direct access to Tyler, Britlin, and myself. We want you guys to have a successful summer, and we want you to be safe. We want you to thrive spiritually and grow. We want you to grow also in your academics and medical preparation. But if you're having issues, just reach out to us. We're here to help you, and no judgment along with it, because the truth is we've experienced some of these same challenges ourselves personally, but also we've helped other students. And I can think of one student who sadly, his experience, he did not get on the IRB literally, I think, for 80% of his summer. But he reached out to us, and we were able to speak with his mentor and find other things. And he ended up doing such a good job that they not only had him come back the next summer, but hired him for a gap year. And if he wouldn't have talked with us, that could have been, like, oh, I spent my whole summer not actually getting to do my project. But because he worked with us, it ended up being not only great that summer, in a different way than he had initially expected, but it ended up leading into a job prospect, multiple publications later on.
Yeah. We have a lot of stories like that where sometimes it doesn't go the way you think it was going to go, but it works out even better. And you also can reach out to your peer mentor, which we'll talk more about in a couple of slides, but keep that in the back of your mind.
Another thing that's not on here is, and we will get to this, I guess, in maybe some of the peer things, or the mentorship, but you all are also a resource for each other, right? As you go through the summer. And so many of you will gather. Some of those who are on at your individual sites, you may virtually gather together, but you're also another layer of support to help each other throughout this summer.
All right. Josh, this is you.
So something that we have included, and again, we welcome, obviously the Spree students. It's expected that you will come to the seminar series that we put on, but the life science research interns are as well welcome to attend. And even from our very beginning, our first year of running the program, and since then, we have tried to supplement the amazing research experience you get by providing access to amazing speakers and talking about subjects that can help you in your path for medicine, as well as your preparation. And so every Thursday evening, we do this at Mountain Time, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. And so for you Boston folks, you're going to be a little bit later. And for those of you on the West Coast, it's going to be a little bit earlier. But we're going to have people who are going to talk about a number of different subjects, becoming a Christ-centered physician. One is going to be impact player in medicine, talking about leadership. Others are talking about sharing your own life story in medicine. We're going to have, how do you prepare for interviews? How do you write your essays? And we'll have a number of these topics aimed at trying to supplement and help you along the way. We'll have some, like, either an article or a chapter assigned reading that if you come prepared, I'm sure you'll get more out of the experience otherwise. Some of the notable speakers who we have already who've committed: Liz Wiseman, she's a New York Times bestselling author and a leadership a leadership thinker. She's written the book Multipliers as well as Impact Players. She loves speaking with our students. David Morton is a professor at the medical school here at BYU, but he has over 20 years of experience at University of Utah and has won every teaching award that they offer there. He's going to talk to us. Tyler Johnson is an oncologist at Stanford Medical School. He also runs an award-winning podcast called The Doctor's Art, and he talks to leaders in the medical field across the world and gets their perspectives, and he has some unique things that we're planning on sharing with you all. But this is really something to help you all. We ask that if you're unable to attend, that you please email Britlin, Tyler, or myself just to let us know what's going on. But the expectation is that you're there, and out of respect for us and our guest speakers, but also because we know that if you participate in these things, that they'll actually help you.
Thanks, Josh. We're going to talk a little bit about logistics. I think Tyler's going to take lead on this one.
So this can be fairly complicated, and given the different settings and the different groups of students that we have, it's going to be a little bit different. Even at BYU, we have 5 different funding sources, and some of them have their own requirements. So I'll just try to be sort of specific to some and general in other ways. But as far as funding goes, you should all know where your funding is coming from at this point. So if you're at BYU Idaho, you'll have your own, you're working with Dr. Smith and a couple other people up there. You make sure that you meet their expectations for funding. BYU Hawaii, same thing with them. At BYU campus, Simmons Center has some of their own requirements. Life Sciences has some of their requirements. And then most of the rest of you will be funded through Student Life at BYU. So if you have any questions about where you're being funded for, or if you have certain requirements, let me know. Along with that is how course credit works. So some of the locations where you are, they require a signed contract, a legal agreement between BYU and that institution. And as part of that, they do require course credit. So you probably should have heard of that already if you have it at your site. But if not, let me know. The other part is some of our funding agencies require it. So Life Sciences, if you're funded through them, they require that you enroll in some sort of course credit. I think BYU Idaho is doing that. I'm not sure about BYU Hawaii. But typically, this is just to make that a legally binding agreement, and it also provides insurance coverage. So if you mess something up, you ruin some machine, it's a $300,000 machine, BYU's liable for it and not you. So that's one of the main advantages of signing up for course credit, even if it's only 0.5. And I offer a student development class that's only, you can take 0.5 for the whole summer. I think it's $180. But it does insure you in case anything goes wrong. And those agreements also allow us to sort of enforce on either side. If the site's not providing the kind of experience we want, or if the student's not, it gives us a little bit more weight behind it. So let me know if you have any questions about that. You may also want to take course credit because it helps you graduate. So if you're in a neuroscience major at BYU, you can take 3 6-credit hours, and that counts towards graduation. Typically, it's 8 credit. So that may be another reason. I guess I'm not going in order here, but to me, course credit's one of the more complicated ones. Maybe I'll just bounce back to housing and start there. All of you hopefully have started looking for housing. Housing can vary widely depending on your site. Some of our new sites have even suggested that there are people in the wards who might rent them a room, or they know people at Harvard, right? We have people join in on Airbnbs, or there are different universities that their dorms are open during the summer, but it's just too much and too challenging for us to manage housing. So we give you funding that hopefully will support that, but you do need to get on housing pretty immediately. A lot of the universities have openings in the summer and they rent out their dorms. Almost all of these places have either young single adult wards or institute programs, or if you're married or older, right, there are wards that can help you with that. But that's one of the challenges, is that. And then we also send out that sheet so that hopefully all of you have seen who else is going where you are, and you can kind of work together and sort of scrounge together, talk to other people to line up housing. Transportation, same thing, depending on where you go. You may be able to drive there and have your car. Boston, one of the biggest challenges we have is people have cars but have nowhere to park. So reach out to your mentor, lab mates to try to figure some of those things out. If you are in Boston, obviously Britlin's a really good resource. If you're in Cincinnati, one of our colleagues, Steve Standage, is back there. So reach out to me, but just have an idea of where you're living, what your transportation may look like. And then onboarding. Some of you, onboarding is as simple as telling them you're coming. Others, like IHC, you'd have to have immunizations and background check and a list of about 12 things long. So hopefully your mentors have communicated to you about what those onboarding requirements are. If not, I would touch base with them immediately and get started on those. Right? Sometimes it's as simple as sort of one of these IRB sort of ethics trainings, but some of you it can be pretty complicated before you can get access to data and patients and patient data and all those important things. So again, reach out to me, reach out to your mentors if you have any questions on onboarding. This also relates to funding and course credit and that whole situation. Sometimes part of the onboarding process requires that I write a letter, either endorsing you, supporting you, telling them that we're paying you, giving them dates, times. I write letters like that all the time. So if they're asking for some sort of assurance that you're a legitimate student, that you're enrolled in a class, that you have funding, all different kinds of things, a letter from me usually meets their needs. So just reach out to me and let me know. Funding. So funding, like I say, with this year, we have funding in so many different sources, it's really hard to keep track of. But hopefully you all know where your funding is coming from. Typically, most funding is given either as a lump sum at the beginning of the summer, depending on who your funding is coming from, or it's given half and half. So by the end of, before the end of the semester, end of April, half of that funding should be deposited to your student account as a scholarship. And then the other half would come near the end of spring term for the end of summer, the end of the summer internship. So it will come, almost all these should come as a scholarship, and then you can go into your account, pull it out of there, and spend it however you'd like. I think we only have one or two that are actually funded by their labs this year, which is great. Allows us to have more students coming, and then you'll just need to work it out with your mentor how that funding is going to work. So that's some of the logistics. I imagine there are probably questions. Let's take any that there might be, see if I can answer them.
Well, and while we're waiting for questions, this is another plug for a statement of gratitude for Tyler. Just so you guys all appreciate, this is not a part of his job or his requirements. Tyler is doing this out of deep care and concern for students. And as you have a glimpse of what he's talking about, he is taking care of the lion's share of these logistics, and it's complicated and it takes time. And I'm grateful for what he does for you all. And I want to say that just so you guys understand that, aside from all of this, he has other university responsibilities and clinical responsibilities. And thank you, Tyler, for all you do, because we couldn't do this without these logistics being taken care of.
Many of you are funded through donor funds. For example, you may see that funding comes from life sciences, but really life sciences is getting their funding from donors. So Simmons Center funded 14 of you this year. That's coming from the Simmons Center, but that's really coming from donors, right? The BYU basketball team and the donors this year on the Dunk on Cancer program gave to the Simmons Center a check for $650,000 that came from donors. So as you enjoy your summer and work hard, I would just encourage you to reflect on that, be thankful for that. And then some of you at the end of the summer will actually have a chance to write to those donors or submit a letter to the Simmons Center, different places, thanking them. We have 69 funded students right now, on average about 8,500 apiece. So you can do the math. It's a lot of very generous people out there supporting this program.
Thanks, Tyler. I'm wondering if I don't see any hands up right now for questions. Oh, I do. Kevin Wu.
Okay, thank you. I guess I was just wondering, so I would like to work as much as I can with my lab, but I also don't want to overstep boundaries and kind of put burdens on the PIs by asking for more things to do and more hours to work for. Do you have any suggestions on how to approach that? Because I think typically they might not like they might just expect you to like oh like come in for the hours that you're supposed to, but I want to do like for example, I would love to work on weekends. Like I don't want to just like do nothing on weekends. So I was just wondering how do I approach that without putting too much burden on the lab to create something for me.
Kevin, where are you going?
Salt Lab, Harvard.
Okay.
Oh, don't worry. You'll be fine. I know. So Ken's great. I'll tell you guys a quick story about Ken Solt because I think this just shows how great BYU students are. Ken Solt's one of my colleagues. He's in the anesthesia department. And I got him involved in this program and he said, "Hey, this is a little awkward, but I have a colleague across the hall who has a lab and he's a BYU alumni and he's confused why I'm getting a BYU student and he's not." And so anyways, we had like someone who wasn't even a member of the church like sharing this BYU program. So Ken's great. Um, Something that applies to everybody, regardless of what lab you're on, is you'll often be working a lot with like postdocs and other students in the lab that are like maybe grad students or maybe surgical residents that are on their research year. So they're there year round. So you won't necessarily have to be putting like a burden on your actual PI because there's usually like layers in between, and there's often like plenty of work to go around. So I bet if you kind of reached out to them and showed that you were eager and you're kind of like staying as late as they're staying kind of thing, that would be great. We also don't want you to burn out either. And again, like we said, we want you to be active with your local ward and a lot of our students, especially in Boston, like a lot of like church activities going on the weekends. So we want you to be able to explore a little bit too. But I like where you're coming from, Kevin. That's like the right attitude of just being willing to like do what it takes. And I think there are some off hours experiments in that lab, if I'm remembering correctly. So I think
Yeah,
that'll be a
I,
good
I
fit.
think, yeah, great. I agree with Britlin. Looking to the other students who are in the lab, the other postdocs, they'll give you an idea. And sometimes working too much or demanding can add to a burden. But if you'll see the pace and usually if you come in soft and get a feel, you'll understand of where the opportunities are and how you can contribute.
And I think this is a great segue actually into a question you could ask your mentor, someone who maybe has been in the lab before. So I think, Josh, we should talk about that
Yeah,
and then we
let's
can
move
do
to the
general
next
Can I
questions.
slide.
just add one more thing there?
Yeah, 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 of course.
So Kevin, I like what you're saying. I think Josh is right on. I would make it more of a timing issue. Like, don't come in the first week and say, "Hey, can I work weekends?" But get a feel for the lab, get a feel for how many people. You may find they're working weekends anyway. I would say the number one thing I hear from students is that they're working way more than they expected and they want to. Very rarely do I hear of them being turned down work. So again, but if you get a feel for the lab, right, don't rush it. But I think we have many students working many more hours than 40 because they want to.
Thanks, Tyler. Okay, this is a program that we are very excited about. It is a cornerstone in our program. Isaac, are you able to take this slide?
Yes, I can.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I would love to. First and foremost, for everyone on the call, I'll introduce myself. My name's Isaac. I'm a sophomore here at BYU. I had the privilege of doing the SPRE program like 3 years ago. And then I actually did a mission in between. So I did it after my freshman year and then served a mission, and I'm coming back now after several years. I'll be out in Boston this summer, so excited to get to know several of you who will be out there with me. But let me just say, you guys, we are so privileged, and I really mean this, to work with Britlin and Josh and Tyler and all the people who are in charge of this. They are just the most amazing people. And like I cannot overstate how much they are focused on making just this the greatest experience for each of you. So feel incredibly grateful. And we'll get into this in a minute, but they are super welcome to chat and be helpful about any questions you might have throughout the summer as well. So Yeah, let me talk a little bit about the peer mentoring. My role this summer is my good friend Aubrey Pope, who can't be on this call right now, but she and I are overseeing kind of the student mentoring side of things. And so each one of you probably, in fact, I'm certain that each one of you received an email from either Aubrey or myself connecting you with a mentor. If you didn't get that, please reach out to me and we can connect you as soon as possible. But each of you should have received an email connecting you with a mentor. And so to kind of give a high level overview, your mentor is someone who has previously participated in the Spree program. I think almost all of them were there last summer, so they very recently have done this. We tried our best to match you with students that were previously in your exact lab you're going to this summer. That wasn't always the case just because we have a couple new labs and we have many more of you than we do of the mentors, actually, which is super exciting. And so some of you will be paired up with a mentor who wasn't necessarily in your lab. But the role of the mentor is really to just help you make sure that you can navigate this experience the best you can, both from like a research standpoint, but also from the logistics side of moving to Boston or moving to wherever you are, and managing the logistics of this. And so I'll touch on both really quickly, starting kind of with the logistics. Your mentor can be an incredibly helpful resource when you're looking for housing and transportation advice. And so we're about a month out from the beginning of May, which I'd imagine is for many of you right around your start date. And so if you haven't identified housing, then I'd encourage you to reach out to your mentor and ask if they have any advice. Once again, look around, see if there's other individuals going to your city. I know Boston, there's a number of people, and see if you can coordinate some of those things. But mentors are really helpful to give you an idea of perhaps where they lived or where you could live. In addition to that, they can help you understand what the local city looks like, the local ward, how to navigate some of those things, and it'll be really helpful logistically. As far as the research, and this is really where I think they can be a huge value to you, whether they were in your lab or not, is they can kind of guide you on number one, like how to prepare before you go out this summer, but especially while you're there, like how to make the most of your experience. I'll be the first to say that for those of you who maybe haven't had as much experience in academia or in research, this really isn't as much of a 9 to 5 job as like a traditional internship might be. And what that means is like academic research oftentimes has so many different pieces to it, and there's a lot of different projects going on. And so basically the point of that is all of your experiences will probably be slightly different. And so having a mentor can be really helpful to talk through, okay, like how can I make the most of this? Like, here's the things that I'm interested in. Here's the things that I want to accomplish this summer. Like, how do I go about navigating a conversation with my PI to make sure that we're on the same page? Or how do I work with this graduate student in the right way in this way? Or I'm not really sure how to go about this specific aspect of a project, right? And so I think that like at a high level, the mentors will be really helpful in helping you understand how to make the most of your experience. I think maybe Alex Anderson's on this call. Maybe he's not, just my own experience. Alex actually started the peer mentoring program a couple of years ago, but he was like my mentor when I went out to Dr. Yang's lab. I know some of you are going to Jeff Yang's lab, which is awesome. And so I went to Jeff Yang's lab 3 years ago, and Alex was incredibly helpful. Like I love this program. I loved my experience with Dr. Yang, and it was amplified because Alex was able to help me understand how to make the most of my experience. And it's totally transformed like what I want out of my future career. It totally transformed my productivity that summer. And like Britlin and Josh were saying, like there are really opportunities to continue to be involved. Like I went on a mission, you guys, for 2 years and came back. And Jeff Yang called me like a couple weeks later, and he was like, hey, like I'm so excited about your mission. Like, just want to let you know about where the research is, And a lot of that I attribute to Alex kind of guiding me as to how to navigate a relationship with a PI, especially when they're really busy. And so I think at the end of the day, the story is your mentor is an incredibly valuable resource that you should take advantage of. They should be meeting with you about once a month, and they should definitely meet with you before you go to your lab this summer. And so I guess I'll just end on, if you haven't heard from your mentor, if you didn't get an email from Aubrey or I, please reach out and we'll connect you so that you can take advantage of this. But honestly, the mentors are amazing. I've met with all of them. They're so excited to help you out. The final thing I'll end on is if you do run into any major issues, don't feel like you have to go to your mentor right away. Like if there are larger things, please go right to Britlin and Josh and Tyler, and they can help you handle those things. But yeah, I'm happy to be a resource for anyone and everyone. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Once again, I'll be in Boston this summer, so excited to get to know a number of you. But yeah, I'll let Britlin and Josh take back over. Hopefully that was sufficient.
That was
Awesome.
perfect, Isaac. So cool
Thank
to see you and your progress, and I got to connect with Isaac earlier in the school year, and thrilled to have him back in this role. And this program's amazing. This was not my idea. It wasn't Britland's idea. This was from your fellow students, Alex Anderson, who I think he's on the call, but I know he's traveling. Him and Aubrey and others have created this community that really helps us to lift each other. And as you guys know, as pre-meds can be a little cutthroat and it can be lonely. But that's not what Spree is. Spree is a different culture. We're here to help each other. We're here to be a community. We're here to believe in each other. And so the expectation, just like we expect all Spree students to participate in the seminar series, we expect everybody to respond and so to their mentors. And so if you haven't yet, please today or tomorrow connect with your mentor.
Thanks, Josh. I'll just chime in two things. One, just want to shout out to Alex Anderson, who Isaac mentioned started this program and is on the call. So, Alex, feel free to chime in after this if you had anything you want to add on any of the slides. Alex also prepared our slides for this presentation, so we're very grateful for all the behind the scenes work. And the other thing that you'll see, and I think you've noticed, is this program is kind of there's a lot of giving in this program. There's donors that gave funds. There's a lot of volunteerism for people that kind of put the program on. And then, of course, with this peer mentoring program, people that are giving back, even just like to people 1 year behind them in the process. And so that's a part of our culture here. And if you guys come back for a second summer, we'd love to have you be a peer mentor. So just think about that. Alex, do you want to chime in on anything?
Yeah, can you hear me okay? Sorry,
Oh,
I know.
yeah, I can
Yeah,
hear you great.
okay, cool. Yeah, no, I'm super grateful to be on this call with everyone. The mentoring program has been so fun to kind of help start up and run, and it can really make or break your experience as well. I think I mean, I'm really appreciative of Isaac and everything that he said. But I also had some amazing mentors in my lab before this whole thing was created, and so um, I'm just super excited for everyone who's going out. And I would add, it's cut off a little bit there at the end of the slide, but if you do run into any major issues, your mentors are there, but there are some issues that you could run into that maybe your mentor doesn't have the work, like the knowledge or just the ability to kind of tackle. So if that is the case, if there's something major that does come up this summer, please don't ever hesitate reaching out to Josh or to Britlin or to Tyler. um, but I'll also throw my contact information into the chat as well. And any of you can reach out to me if you have any questions about anything. And I'm happy to be a resource for you guys throughout the summer. But this is an amazing opportunity. I'm one of those students who say that this was a life-changing opportunity. It changed the trajectory of my college experience and everything that I applied to after this program. In every interview that I ever had, one of the first things they brought up was, I saw you did research in Boston in the Yang Lab. Tell me about it. I want to learn more. That was the highlight of everything. And so you guys are going to have the opportunity to be able to put that on your resume and use that as a stepping stone to propel your careers. So I'm just super excited for you guys and super excited for you all to experience that this summer.
Thanks, Alex. Um, all right, Josh and Tyler, I feel like we've got about like 10 minutes if people have questions, they want to unmute and ask, or type in the chat, whatever works.
Well, while we're waiting, and if somebody raises their hand, I'll stop talking, or if they type something in the chat. But we believe in you guys. You guys are incredible. This has been an incredible year to look through everybody's applications, and we're just amazed with you all. I think we're going to have an amazing summer. I'm not seeing any questions.
Hopefully that's a good sign. That means everyone's
We haven't sent out the schedule yet for summer, right? For the
Yeah, so great point. Thanks for bringing that up. We are working on we're needing a couple more of our guest speakers to confirm their dates. And so in the next week or two, we will send the schedule for the summer for the seminar series. On average, each month we usually have three. So usually there's at least 1 week where we don't have a session. But those are again every Thursday night, uh, 6 Mountain Time for an hour. You can count on that, but there will be a couple times where we don't have one. Adam, you have a question?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask briefly about that presentation you guys mentioned that we'll be doing at the end of the summer and and the opportunities that we'll have to interact with sponsors who have supported us. Would that be like similar to a poster presentation, or is it just kind of an informal meeting where we would discuss what we've done?
Good question. We're still in development with that, and so it's going to be. So you're at BYU Idaho, correct, Adam? Yeah, and so it is valuable for us to. So I will probably, and maybe Britlin or others, Tyler, you'll probably be welcome too. Is we'll probably come up there and have you do like a brief, 2 to 3 minute power slide with the other 9 BYU Idaho students, and so that's something important for your faculty to see as well as the other students. And so we'll do something like that also in BYU Hawaii. We're planning on coming out there. For the BYU students, it may be a poster presentation. We're trying to figure out the timing and location for that. Or it may be a combination of poster, and then some people also do a brief, 2 minute PowerPoint or 3 minute PowerPoint. So it's important that everybody have the opportunity to share because that will prepare you moving forward. And we want you to be able to say that you presented your summer results, but more details on that will come.
yeah, given the
Ethan?
group size. Oh, I was just gonna say, Josh, given the group size, we're maybe going to have a couple of different venues to have it happen. It used to be everyone was virtual, which had a lot of benefits in that your mentors could come. But I think our meeting last year was like 2.5 hours on Zoom. It was really long. So we're playing around with the format.
Yeah, and having different sites, we need to do slightly different things with each of the sites.
Ethan.
Ethan? Yeah.
Yes, this might not be the perfect question. Maybe it could be directed to other sources, but just a little curious on the exact starting dates. I know we're all in different labs, but maybe just like a ballpark idea, at least for now.
Usually students, depending on, usually students are out of school towards the end of April. Usually we say the first week or second week in May is what people kind of aim for because you're aiming to have 14 to 16 weeks. And so, and you're at Dartmouth, working with Dr. Crockett. If there's any issues with those kind of clarifications, you can loop Britlin and I in, and we know Sarah very well, and we can help
Yeah, she's great.
solidify that. Yeah.
But
Typically,
kind of
that
between
is
you
done
and
with the
her.
lab, right? What the lab really wants you to do, and typically that is. And by the way, one of the advantages that we have, part of the reason why these labs are willing to work with all of you is because you do work much longer. We'll have programs like, oh, I have this program and it's 7 weeks, and we're saying, hey, we'll give you a student twice as long. So part of the advantage is that we're done earlier. A lot of schools aren't done until end of May. So try to get out there, I would say early May and stay till mid-August is what most students do. But it's really between you and the lab.
Yeah, so definitely check in with Sarah because maybe she wants you there. Maybe it works better to have either the second week of May versus the first. So, just make sure that lines up. As long as you're hitting that time range that Tyler said.
All right, I have to run to another meeting. Great seeing you guys.
Text me if you have any questions. Can't wait. This is gonna be a great summer. And yeah, we're really excited to have you guys. Thanks for being here. Thanks for
Thank
Thank
coming.
you all. Thank you, Isaac, Tyler, Britlin. Thank you.
Bye, Josh. Good luck at your next meeting.